Alright, now we're on to refilling the bike with oil, which means you got to go to the other side of the bike, right side, where the brake is on most bikes, and find the oil fill hole and also the oil window. That would be right here. And before you go to fill, you're going to need a funnel. A good big one is helpful because then you don't spill oil everywhere. You got a nice big hole to fill in. Now you're going to want to go right over here to the oil cap and remove that. They unscrew. You're going to want to put the funnel in that hole. And then it's as simple as pouring oil in the hole. It's going to take about 4 quarts. After you put 3 quarts in, I'm going to show you where the glass window is to see how full of oil your bike is. So go ahead and put 3 full quarts in, and then you're going to want to look down at the glass window on the side of your crankcase, which is right there. That nice, pretty hole that you can see into your motor. You might wonder what it is. Well, that's your sight glass to see how much oil is actually in your bike. So once we get some oil in there, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, he just finished pouring 3 quarts in, and in the sight glass you'll see that it's got about halfway full through the sight glass. So you're going to want to shuffle it around a little bit, maybe add a little bit more. That's about where you want to be, maybe a little bit fuller. So that's why it says 4 quarts, but you don't always get all the oil out. And once you fire up the bike, it might suck a little bit of oil up into the top end of it. You're going to need a little bit more at the bottom end of the crankcase. So kind of good for now. When we fire up the bike, we'll double check everything, and if it needs a little bit more, then we'll go ahead and fill it up a little bit more. If not, then you got some spare oil if it starts to eat up a little bit of oil before the next oil change. So next step is wiping off all that oil from the exhaust when we redid the oil filter. So once we clean that up, put the bike back together, it's time to fire it up and let it warm up a little bit and circulate some oil, and then recheck the level. Alright, well the next step is going to be to go ahead and fire up the bike. I didn't put the lower fairing on yet because in case there's a problem, you might not want to put it all back together to take it all back apart again. That way you're saving yourself a couple steps by not putting those plastics back on until you know everything's right, done, not leaking, and proper. So go ahead and fire up the bike, and let's see what we have. Alright, we got the bike running. Basically, you want to look at the oil filter, underneath it, see if anything's dripping. Then you want to double check that you put your drain plug in and that's all good and no problem. Then go around to the other side and check out that sight window. And we'll see how that oil's doing. Sitting at idle in between the 2 lines. See the 2 lines right there? Those 2 lines represent a safe zone for your oil to be in. So if you're running in there on level ground, chances are you're okay with your oil. It's not good to overfill them, and it's not good to underfill them. So right in the middle is a good spot. If you're doing tricks and wheelies, a little overfill isn't a bad thing either. Sounds like she's warming up a bit. We'll give her a couple cracks in the revs and see if the oil drops at all. If not, shut it off and put it all back together. Make sure you're not dripping oil underneath. Everything looks good. No problem. Alright. Yep. Seems to be running pretty good. No issues. No troubles. So at this point it would be just a matter of buttoning it up, putting the lower fairing back on, and going out for a ride. You got a fresh oil change, having fun, enjoy life.